I want to therefore put two questions together. Who did better in poverty alleviation and who's done better when it comes to job creation? These are contentious issues. We can throw various numbers. One number recently in an article by economist Ashok Gulati quoting ILO was 2004 to 14 UPA times 8.4% unemployment, 2014 to 24 7.9%. When I look at labor force participation rate, clearly there are concerns, especially among women labor participation. Yes, it's come up a bit because you're also including unpaid labor as employment, but given that and given poverty alleviation, where between 2014 and 2005-6 to 2015-16, 27.1 crore people were lifted out of poverty. This is based on multi-dimensional poverty, source being UNDP. Source of Niti Aayog saying 2015-16 to 2019-21, 24.8 crore people were lifted out of poverty. So, I just want to understand from both of you, starting with you, Mr. Tharoor. Again, this is an issue that the opposition raises, that the government hasn't created enough jobs. The government hits back and says, look, we've done reasonably well. Look at our EPFO data. Look at the fact that many more people have registered for jobs, suggesting that it isn't as grim as you make it out to be. And here you've got Jayant Sinha saying, if it was so grim, why are people still voting for us?
They're voting, unfortunately, for the BJP on other issues. After the disasters of demonetization, where people suffered terribly, they voted for the government because it became a national security election after Pulwama and Balakot. Tomorrow, the BJP is seeking votes in the name of the Ram Mandir. Let's be very realistic. It's not, unfortunately, the BJP has been brilliant at getting voters to stop thinking about their self-interest and instead vote some sort of sense of national pride, Hindu pride, identity pride, and so on. That's nothing. I mean, that argument is the most specious of the arguments possible, because it is not actually answering the economic questions which are hurting people. But coming back to your specific questions, unemployment rates. According to the CMIE, our current unemployment rate is 8.7%, which is higher than any time in the UPA era. But what is worse is the unemployment rate amongst youth aged 20 to 24. That's at a record 45.4% in fiscal year 22-23. We've seen a situation where under the BJP, as recently, if you take all the unemployment overall, instead of 8.1, in October it hit 9.4%. So 8 to 9% seems to have become a kind of new normal. In the last year, 2023, the unemployment rate was averaging throughout between 8 and 9%. And the unfortunate truth is that even where jobs have grown, they've grown in financially precarious areas like construction work and low-end service roles, and agriculture and manufacturing jobs have actually dropped. So you're not really seeing any decent employment. If you look at educated people, for example, educated unemployment has worsened really badly, with rising from 19.2% in the UPA era to 35.8% under the NDA, and postgraduates have gone up to 36.2%. This is not exactly a healthy situation. We've had 135 million workers added to the economy since 2018. During this time, the economy has created just 5 million formal jobs. A formal job is one that pays a regular salary and offers at least one social security benefit.
Jayant Sinha, you will recall the opposition continuously targets the government, saying the Prime Minister promised 2 crore jobs a year. The government says, please, at no stage was such a promise made. It is the opposition is not telling the entire truth on it. But the fact is, unemployment has been a big challenge, especially rural unemployment. The same Manrega that you all dissed when you all were in the opposition has now become almost a flagship scheme for the government. So when the Prime Minister speaks, for example, of the latest acronym, speaking of about Garib, about the Annadata, about women, that's Nari, and youth, the truth is unemployment is a big challenge.
So unemployment is a very, very important priority, if not the top priority for our government. And that is very simply because of our demographics, where we have a lot of young people joining the workforce in large numbers. And it's always been a challenge in India to bring women into the workforce. And that is really where we have our most untapped potential. And for that, we need to create formal sector jobs. Now, let's, with that backdrop, look at our performance. Shashiji quoted many numbers. I'll quote the numbers that are considered to be the best quality numbers by most economists, and those are the PLFS numbers that started in 2017. If you look at the PLFS numbers and you look at two metrics which are very important, number one, overall employment, that has been improving very significantly. Unemployment has dropped from about 6-7% right now to about 3%. This is from the PLFS data. And number two, labor force participation. Labor force participation in the PLFS data also has gone up quite dramatically. So those numbers look very, very steady. They look excellent. And then, we should also look at EPFO data, which is really the formal sector jobs that Shashiji spoke about. And if you look at the number of formal sector jobs that are being created steadily every year, that also has been very satisfactory, with millions of formal sector jobs being created every year. So overall, all of these are very positive indicators. And then we are not even picking up what has happened through the Swanidhi program, the self-employment programs, self-help groups, Swanidhi for roadside vendors, etc. There also there's been massive credit that's been pumped into people for self-employment, lots and lots of mudra loans, and all of that has contributed to significant growth in income, both in the fully formal sector as well as in the informal sector. And one of the very big contributions that we have made to our economy has been the formalization of the economy, bringing lots and lots of people into the formal sector. We have about 6 crore MSMEs. 3 crore, that is 50% of them, have registered in the Udayam portal to become formally registered MSMEs, which means that they have access to credit, they can get access to a whole host of government programs, they can get social security, and so on. Similarly, if we look at agriculture, we've got about 11-12 crore farmers now part of the Kisan Samman Nidhi and getting signed up to the Kisan portal. So this formalization enables us to be able to support them and provide them with a host of modern conveniences and credit services.
But Mr. Sinha, if all was so well, why did the government have to announce that we will extend our free food grain scheme for 80 crore Indians? In a sense, there's a recognition that people at the bottom of the pyramid are still hurting. Why not accept that?
Rajdeep, that's not correct. What the program does, the Garib Kalyan Yojana, is a program that's working very well. We have a large amount of surplus food grains. Those surplus food grains are rotting in warehouses. It's very good to be able to provide them to people. In any case, they were only paying 5 rupees per kg. Now they're not paying anything. And we are able to get this surplus food grain out. And in addition to that, if we are able to provide them this support, then they can take their consumption and increase that. They can invest in health, they can invest in education. So this is a good way to provide social security and support to the people who need it the most. And that's how we are going to lift every section of society.